So recently, I've been watching a lot of Spider-Man movies. I finally watched the Amazing Spider-Man duology a few months back. Andrew Garfield is the best Peter Parker, no debate needed. I watched The Craven the Hunter, and despite what I said about this movie in my 2024 rewind video, considering what Madam Web was like, I'm not very hopeful this movie's going to be good. This movie was actually surprisingly good. I also watched something a few months back called Spider-Man Lotus. If you're sitting there confused wondering what Spider-Man Lotus is, well, firstly, it's a fan-made Spider-Man film that is 2 hours long, that was released last year, that you can watch right here on YouTube, and most of all, it's the topic of this video. While many would say this is an extremely bad movie or criticize this movie because of its controversial production, I'm making the argument that this movie is very good. First off, the characters, costumes, and actors. The actor for this Peter Parker is Warden Wayne. He's a splitting image of comic book Spider-Man, so good choice in the casting department. Meanwhile, his costume I like, but I don't know about the small eyes. Like, I know it's comic book accurate, however, I prefer the big eye mask of Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Aside from that, though, it looks good. The actors for the characters of Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, and Harry Osborn look pretty good, though I have to say the best version of Harry Osborn for me will always be James Franco's version. Then there's the villains featured in this movie, the Shocker and the Green Goblin. The Shocker appears at the start of the movie, and he's a great costume that looks very accurate to its comic iteration with a movie spice added to it. Meanwhile, the Green Goblin's costume actually looks perfect. I have zero criticisms for it. So there are the characters, moving on to the story. The story starts by being narrated by the main character himself, Peter Parker, then switching to him as Spider-Man chasing after the Shocker and his fellow criminals. And then he whoops them all in a matter of 5 minutes, essentially the Spider-Man equivalent of having your pockets ran and then getting curb stomped. Then we see our hero pull up as Peter Parker to a cinema, which he was supposed to see a movie at with his friends and girlfriend, and somehow missed the entire thing. So then we get an argument, skip a ring and scene or two, and we get to the title card. During this credit sequence, we get a montage of the story of how Gwen Stacy dies in the comics. And the story, of course, ends with Spider-Man popping off his greatest op, the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn version. Since Gwen Stacy is now dead, Peter goes into a deep depression, and since Norman Osborn is dead, Harry Osborn disappears. Mary Jane approaches Peter when he's staring at Gwen Stacy's grave and asks if he wants to go to a party, which in my opinion might be the dumbest thing to ask someone when you know they've just lost someone extremely close to them. MJ, why do you always suck? Peter gets into justify crash-out mode, but MJ hands Peter a note from someone and then leaves. Later, Peter finds Harry in his apartment in a pill-induced sleep. I'm not sure how long he's been asleep for, but he looks like me after waking up to this sound for the 100th flipping time. Harry leaves the apartment and Peter falls asleep when he gets a nightmare about Gwen. Don't worry, Peter, it could have been worse. You could have had a nightmare about Gwen being with Paul. Waking up from this dream, Peter decided to pull up to that building where that note MJ gave him came from. Meanwhile, Harry is wandering throughout New York City like he's Steve Rogers after just getting out of the ice. And also, meanwhile, MJ is at a party where she's so depressed that she starts smoking. Flash Thompson pulls up to basically say, put out your cig, you're ruining the party, but also to say that Peter will turn around from this angry, depressed state and will reconnect with everybody. Then we cut back to Spider-Man who pulls up to this apartment or hospital bed, can't really tell, and he meets this kid called Timothy Harrison, who at the moment has his game mode set to Make-A-Wish Kid difficulty, and for his wish he wanted to meet Spider-Man, and judging by the amount of merchandise around the room, he seems to be quite a big fan. Meanwhile, MJ finds Harry at his dad's grave, and she brings him out of the rain into the car. They have a yap session, which I'm not really bothered to go over, so getting back to Timothy and Spider-Man, Timothy is showing off all his stuff, which is really cool, to Spider-Man, and obviously being really happy to meet his favorite hero. Spider-Man, however, is a little concerned about having a fan, as he doesn't want others to be like him due to the amount of people that get hurt when he does Spider-Man things. Which, I mean, like, he's not exactly wrong. Have you seen the amount of times he's fumbled the bag? So if I were him, I wouldn't want a kid to be inspired by my negative riz either. Then Spider-Man is about to leave, but Timothy's guardian basically says, Spider-Man, what is wrong with you? Get back in there and take back what you said to that boy. So he does exactly that. He even reveals his secret identity to Timothy, which is so cool of him. Timothy will now have a cool core memory that will last forever. Oh. Wrapping up things, Peter comes to terms with Gwen's death, he becomes friends again with MJ and Harry, and the movie ends with him swinging. The end. Honestly, a great movie. The action scenes were short but cool, And the Make-A-Wish plotline was touching. Anyway, I give it like a 7 out of 10. CGI wasn't great, and the production story behind this was crazy, but aside from that, it's good. So that's all for now. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.